What's going on, guys? This is Jared the Grappler, and I'm back at it again to talk about why just because you think that you're a trained martial artist does not mean that you know how to fight. I'm just going to give you a little bit of context here. I grew up in a pretty nice area, kind of suburban type of living, you know what I'm saying? And my opponent did not. He had seen real violence, and it's evident in the way that he fights that he just understood what a real fight looks like more than me. Hence why his defense was better. He was more relaxed. He was, better able to gauge distance and stuff like that. Even though he was throwing physically harder shots than me, his cardio still was holding up in a lot of ways, not all of them, obviously. And that's just because he had been in that adrenal state where it's like, okay, this person's trying to kill me. I need to figure out a way to win, all this jujitsu. I tried to Von Flue choke him. I was digging my shoulder into his neck. Didn't work. I tried to Kimura, but he's slippery. I'm falling off. Didn't work. These are things that I would never expect a, essentially untrained grappler, not completely untrained, because he did have a little bit of training. He was actually stepping in there into an MMA fight, but he had a lot less experience than I did. But he was a fighter. He dropped his mouth guard. He was scrappy and understood certain things that I hadn't even considered. He had a lot of just awareness for, like, this is a sport. How do I gamify this? Or how do I, get every single advantage that I can that just comes from, like, you're a street fighter. Oh, there's this rock lying on the ground and I'm about to get my head stomped on. I don't know that this has ever occurred, but these are the considerations that these people that have been in rough situations have made. I need to win because my life might be on the line. You know what I mean? And they just think a different way. So I hear so many people talking about, oh, dude, I see red. I see red. And they use this as like a way of condescendingly talking about all these people that talk about their rough upbringings and their street fighting background. Dude, Jorge Masvidal, who is like a future UFC Hall of Famer, talks about how the fact that he grew up street fighting is a massive advantage for him against these fighters, because it legitimately does just it gives you a killer instinct that you don't have if you didn't grow up that way. So my point here is that there's a lot of people that have the absolute opposite of a fighter's mentality, and they wouldn't be able to go out there and survive. The only reason why I had enough of a fighter's mentality to win this fight here was because of my wrestling background, which does closely represent what a fight would look like. Obviously, there's no striking, but people will come very close to it in the hand fighting. There is no, oh, coach, he's being too rough. There is none of that, okay? In wrestling, you try to come as close to cheating as humanly possible. There's no stalling. You'll lose a wrestling match for stalling, unintentional groin strike, but it helps me out quite a lot. Excellent groin strike timing, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are convinced that any experience that is not in a Gracie Baja Academy or whatever, does not count as far as their fighting background. And I'm here to say that if you pull guard at your Thursday afternoon class, you might not be able to fight, okay? You might go in there and be completely untrained on the feet and not be able to take somebody down who is stronger than you and punching you in the face. And if that occurs, guess what? You got knocked out in this very fight. If you fight my first opponent, but you're the dude who pulls guard and doesn't have very strong takedowns and whatnot, you lost. And this guy is not a good grappler. You know what I mean? He's a very good fighter, but he's not a good grappler. You would toy with him in the gi or something like that, but it's just different. So when all these people talk about, oh, dude, I beat up all these people that come in off the street and talk about they're a street fighter in my jiu-jitsu class all the time. No, you don't. Oh, dude, Royce Gracie did this. Royce Gracie, he proved that jiu-jitsu beats every single martial art, and that if you aren't already a jiu-jitsu black belt, then I'm just going to dominate you. No, Royce Gracie grew up getting into dojo storms where he was literally walking in there and running fades with senseis, okay? If you aren't doing that, you don't get to use Hoist Gracie as an example, because Hoist Gracie knew what real violence looked like, and you go out there and ask the coach if you don't have to roll with the spazzy white belt. Okay? So that's all I'm saying here, guys. I love martial arts. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, judo are, three of my, favorite martial arts out there, because I love grappling. I am Jared the Grappler for a reason. I love grappling. But there are a lot of people who have never been punched in the face before that think they're a fighter, okay? And I think that the thing that makes you a fighter is your ability to actually handle and make intelligent decisions while someone's punching you in the face. Not just the fact that you know a whole bunch of moves. Because just because you know a whole bunch of moves does not mean anything. Okay, so this has been Jared the Grappler, and check out these cool pics.